what is the timeline? When you think about implementing this, is it as permits come up for renewal that you think you'll really see this kind of activity? A discharger will be concerned and want to have these discussions, or is the state on some kind of rollout of these ideas? How does that work?
That's one of the issues that's up in the air, and you know, we laid out the rule, and there were some things that we realized we weren't answering questions on, and we wanted to just leave it open.
Right.
And there were some things that we didn't realize were left open, and so, you know, I thought it's pretty clear that as permits come up for renewal, they'll just enter adaptive management, because they would have been planning for the last 2 years on how to do adaptive management.
Right.
But there's a lot of municipalities that don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And we've talked to wastewater treatment plants where they just don't have any staff who would necessarily come across this or handle anything other than the normal paperwork that they do for their permits. So, so that's an open question. And what I think is going to happen, I hope, is that our state DNR does essentially gives people time to do the planning. So I think it's reasonable to say that it would take 3 years to put together these collaboratives and analyze the watershed and figure out what the plan is.
Right.
But you know, I think the DNR, just because of staffing issues, might take longer, and so we need to figure out what's reasonable and push the DNR and push some enforcement if they're giving people 10 years to do planning.
Right.
So
what's a reasonable time horizon for getting your ducks in a row before you just try some stuff?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and that's another place where listening comes into account, because if the DNR can't manage this changeover in how permitting is done or how plans are analyzed because they don't have the staffing resources, we need to make sure that the burden's more on the point sources to have the plans readable for the DNR.
Right.
And if point sources say that they need more time, we have to listen to them and why they're saying that, because they might be saying it because there's essentially no data to be gathered in that watershed, and that's a reasonable concern. You want to have
something to base.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if there's a lot of data, or if there's a TMDL already, they have that information, so we can tell them to, you know, speed it up, and that it's a resource issue where they're not putting enough resources into it.
Right.
So.
Okay.